Hi, I'm Angelica. For 62 years, I've prided myself on being a reasonable woman. I've navigated life's storms with dignity until the day my daughter Charlotte didn't wake up. Heart condition, the doctor said. Undiagnosed. She was only 34. Mom, I'm so sorry about Charlotte, my younger daughter Diane said, squeezing my hand across the kitchen table 3 days before the funeral. How's Mark holding up? I stirred my untouched tea. Haven't heard much from him? Says he's busy with arrangements. That's weird. When Paul's mom died, I couldn't get him to leave the house for days. Diane's forehead creased. Have you been to their place? Twice. He wasn't home either time. Said he was meeting with Charlotte's life insurance company. Both times? That's convenient. Diane bit her lip. Mom, remember Christmas dinner? When Charlotte went to help you with dessert? What about it? Mark got a text. I happened to glance over, not snooping, just noticed. It said, "Miss you already, when can you get away?" He deleted it immediately. I set down my cup with a sharp clink. And you didn't tell Charlotte? I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to hurt her if I was wrong. What else have you noticed? I pressed, my hands trembling slightly. Diane hesitated. Little things. He'd step outside to take calls, made excuses to work late. Charlotte mentioned once that he'd started going to the gym religiously, but she gestured vaguely at her own body. You know, no visible results. Classic signs, I murmured. Why didn't I see it? Because you wanted to believe he made Charlotte happy. We all did. The doorbell rang, interrupting us. It was Beth, Charlotte's best friend since college, eyes red-rimmed. Angelica, Diane. She hugged us both. Sorry for barging in. I just couldn't sit at home anymore. Tea? I offered automatically. Got anything stronger? Beth attempted a smile. As I poured 3 fingers of bourbon, Beth's phone chimed. She glanced at it, then froze. Beth? Diane prompted. What is it? It's nothing. Beth Morgan, we've known each other 15 years, I said firmly. That face isn't nothing. Beth slid her phone across the table. My cousin works at Capital Airlines. She just sent me this. On screen was a passenger list. Mark's name was highlighted, along with someone named Veronica Walsh. Flight to Cancun. Departure? Tomorrow morning. The day before the funeral? Diane whispered. There must be some explanation, I said, though my stomach twisted. Maybe it's work-related. Beth's expression hardened. My cousin included a note. They're in first class. Champagne pre-ordered. Anniversary package? Anniversary of what? Diane asked. Charlotte and Mark's anniversary is in October. Maybe it's their affairversary, Beth said bitterly. Some twisted celebration of their relationship milestone. I gripped the edge of the table. You're saying this isn't new. Beth took a deep breath. I didn't want to tell you this now, but Charlotte suspected something. She found hotel receipts, unexplained charges. She was planning to confront him after they got back from visiting her college roommate. The trip she never took because she died. My voice sounded distant to my own ears. Wait, Diane interjected. Mark told everyone he can't attend the funeral because he's too devastated to face it. Apparently not too devastated for a beach vacation with Veronica, Beth said. My hands stopped shaking. Something cold and clear replaced my grief. Tell me everything you know about this woman. Her name is Veronica Walsh, Beth explained the next morning as we sat in my living room with Paul, Diane's husband. Executive at Mark's firm, divorced twice. Charlotte showed me her picture once from a company event. Paul whistled. And he's really skipping the funeral? Who does that? Someone who doesn't want to face Charlotte's family, Diane said, setting down coffee mugs. Mom, what are you thinking? I'd barely slept, making calls instead. I'm thinking Mark doesn't know that the funeral has been moved to Saturday instead of Friday. Beth leaned forward. What, why the change? Pastor Jenkins had an emergency. But only family knows about the reschedule. I smiled thinly. Mark won't be getting that update. Because he's not answering calls from any of us, Diane added. Exactly. Now, Paul, what did your friend at the bank say? Paul pulled out his notebook. It's worse than we thought. Mark's been moving money from their joint accounts into a private one for months. Nearly $200,000. Charlotte's inheritance from Dad, I whispered. And there's more. He filed to cash out her life insurance policy yesterday. $500,000. He's the sole beneficiary. Beth gasped. But they've only been married 3 years. Long enough to plan an exit strategy, I said grimly. He just didn't count on her dying before he left. Could he have known about her heart condition? Diane asked quietly. The room fell silent. What are you suggesting? Paul asked his wife. I'm not saying he did anything, Diane clarified. But what if he knew she was sick and was waiting for... She couldn't finish the sentence. Charlotte would have told me if she'd been diagnosed with anything, I said firmly. But that doesn't mean Mark didn't notice symptoms she dismissed. We should talk to her doctor, Beth suggested. Maybe there were warning signs. Already scheduled for tomorrow, I replied. But first we need more evidence of his betrayal. The doorbell rang. Diane returned with James, Charlotte, and Mark's neighbor. Mrs. Holloway, James nodded. Wish we were meeting again under better circumstances. Thank you for coming, James. Please call me Angelica. I brought what you asked for. He handed me an envelope. Security footage from our building's lobby and elevator. I'm on the HOA board. Paul connected the USB drive to the TV. The timestamp showed 2 weeks ago. Mark entered the lobby with a woman, laughing intimately. In the elevator, they kissed passionately. That's their apartment building? Diane asked, voice shaking. Yes, James confirmed. This happened at least twice a week while Charlotte was at work. The doorman knew not to announce her. You knew about this? Beth demanded. I suspected. But Charlotte was always so happy talking about him. I didn't want to be the one to break her heart. Was there anything else unusual you noticed? I asked James. He hesitated. The night before Charlotte died, I heard them arguing, loudly. I almost called security. What were they fighting about? Paul asked. I couldn't make out everything, but I heard her say something about bank statements and him yelling that she was paranoid. It went on for hours. So she confronted him after all, Beth whispered, before her trip. And the next morning she was dead, I said, the implications hanging heavy in the air. Well, he broke more than her heart, I said, my voice like steel. He's breaking every promise he made to her. I can't believe you're so calm, Mom, Diane said. I want to scream. Oh, I'm not calm. I'm focused. I gathered the evidence we'd collected. Mark thinks he's won, flying off to paradise while we bury my daughter, but he's about to learn something about me. What's that? Paul asked. Nobody betrays my family and walks away unscathed. I looked around the room. Here's what we're going to do. The hotel bar at the Grand Cancun Resort was elegant, all polished wood and ocean views. I sat nursing a martini, watching the entrance. Beth's cousin had confirmed Mark and Veronica had checked in that afternoon. Mrs. Holloway? Detective Rivera approached my table, professional in her resort-appropriate linen suit. Everything is arranged as you requested. Thank you, Detective. And the local authorities? Standing by. Mexican police take fraud very seriously, especially when it involves foreign nationals exploiting their system. Will they extradite him? I asked. With the evidence you've provided of financial crimes crossing international borders? Absolutely. The FBI is already involved. And the timing? My colleague will text when they enter the restaurant. She glanced at her watch. Their reservation is in 20 minutes. My phone chimed with Paul's message. In position with hotel security. Live feed working. Detective Rivera nodded to a man at the bar. That's Officer Mendez. He'll intervene if things escalate. I don't expect violence, I said. Mark's too calculating for that. People get unpredictable when cornered, she warned. Don't underestimate what someone might do when their carefully constructed world falls apart. My heart pounded as I spotted them. Mark laughing, tanned in linen shorts, arm around a statuesque blonde. My daughter wasn't even in the ground yet. They seated themselves on the terrace, champagne already waiting. I watched them toast, clink glasses, share a kiss. He never looked so happy with Charlotte. I waited until they'd toasted, then approached. "Hello, Mark." His glass froze midway to his mouth. "Angelica? What? How? Surprise." I pulled out a chair. "Mind if I join you?" "This is unexpected," he stammered. "I thought you were in Boston for the funeral." "Funeral's tomorrow, actually. Saturday, not Friday. Schedule change." I smiled at the blonde. "You must be Veronica. I'm Charlotte's mother." Her face drained of color. "Mark said Charlotte understood your relationship was complicated. That she accepted— my dead daughter accepted her husband having an affair? Fascinating theory." "Angelica." Mark leaned forward, lowering his voice. "This isn't the place." "Where is the place, Mark? My daughter's funeral that you're skipping? The home you shared with her where you brought your mistress? The bank where you're draining her accounts?" "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly. Charlotte died unexpectedly, and you hit the jackpot. Insurance policy, inheritance, freedom, all without the messy divorce she was planning once she confirmed her suspicions." Veronica's head snapped toward Mark. "Divorce? You said your marriage was already over in everything but paper." "It was," Mark insisted, then glared at me. "You're twisting everything." "Am I? Let's discuss the money, Mark. $200,000 from Charlotte's inheritance. The life insurance you filed for yesterday. The credit cards in her name that are somehow still making purchases. That's my money too." "No, it wasn't. Her inheritance was explicitly protected in your prenup." "Is that true?" Veronica demanded. "You told me you were financially independent." "I am," Mark hissed. "Angelica's just bitter. Charlotte and I had an arrangement." "Did this arrangement include the fight the night before she died?" I asked coldly. "When she confronted you about the bank statements?" Mark went very still. "How did you—" "Your neighbor James heard everything. Quite the coincidence, her dying right after discovering your theft." Veronica stood. "You never said anything about a fight, or theft, or any of this." "Sit down." Mark grabbed her wrist. "She's manipulating you." "Let go of me." Veronica yanked her arm away. "I can't believe I trusted you." Mark stood abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this. Come on, Veronica." Detective Rivera appeared beside our table. "Sir, please remain seated." "Who are you?" he demanded. "Financial Crimes Unit working with the FBI. Identity theft and fraud don't stop at borders, Mr. Holloway." Mark lunged for me. "You vindictive bitch! You planned this?" Officer Mendez intercepted him, restraining his arm. "Sir, that's assault. You're under arrest." "You'll regret this," Mark shouted as they led him away. "You've got nothing on me." "Actually," I said calmly, "we have everything." "All rise," the bailiff announced 3 months later. Judge Martinez entered the courtroom where Mark, now gaunt in his orange jumpsuit, stood with his public defender. His expensive attorney had dropped him when his assets were frozen. "Be seated," the judge ordered. "Mr. Holloway, you've been found guilty of wire fraud, identity theft, and attempted assault. Before sentencing, would anyone like to address the court?" I approached the podium. "Your Honor, my daughter Charlotte was kind, brilliant, and trusting. Her husband betrayed that trust even before her death. Then he desecrated her memory by attempting to steal her legacy while skipping her funeral." Mark stared at his hands, refusing to meet my eyes. "The defendant has shown no remorse," I continued. "He's attempted to contact me 7 times, offering explanations that amount to more manipulation. I ask for the maximum sentence." "Did the medical examiner find anything suspicious regarding your daughter's death?" the judge asked carefully. "No, Your Honor. Charlotte died of natural causes, an undiagnosed heart condition. But the timing, immediately following her discovery of financial misconduct, raises questions we may never answer." The judge nodded. "Mr. Holloway, do you wish to speak?" Mark approached the microphone. "Mrs. Holloway, I know you won't believe me, but I did love Charlotte. What happened with Veronica was a mistake. If I could go back—" "You'd be more careful covering your tracks," I interrupted. "No, I'd make different choices. Please, Angelica. Charlotte wouldn't want this family feud." Don't you dare tell me what my daughter would want, I said icily. You forfeited that right when you boarded that plane. I'm begging you, he continued desperately. Think about what this is doing to everyone. There's still Charlotte's memory to consider. Her memory? My voice shook with rage. You dishonored her in life and abandoned her in death. You have no right to invoke her memory now. I'm sorry, he pleaded. I truly am. Can't we find some way to move past this? Your Honor, I addressed the judge, ignoring Mark. This man used my daughter in life and attempted to profit from her in death. No apology can remedy that. The judge studied Mark. Mr. Holloway, I sentence you to 8 years in federal prison. Additionally, all assets derived from the victim are ordered returned to her estate. As security led him away, Mark called out, Angelica, please, I have nothing left. That's the point, I replied. Outside the courthouse, Diane, Paul, Beth, and James waited. It's done, I told them, finally allowing myself to exhale. How do you feel? Diane asked, linking her arm with mine. Like I kept my promise to Charlotte. I gazed up at the clear blue sky. Not for revenge, but for justice. What happens now? Beth asked quietly. Now I establish the Charlotte Holloway Foundation with the recovered funds, a scholarship for young women studying cardiology, something positive from this tragedy. She would have loved that, James said. Did you hear about Veronica? Paul asked. I shook my head. She's cooperating with prosecutors on another case. Apparently, Mark had pulled similar schemes before Charlotte. She wasn't his first victim, just his most profitable. So he might have known about her heart condition, Diane whispered. We may never know for certain, I said, but he'll have 8 years in prison to think about what he did. And the foundation will ensure Charlotte helps other young women even now, Beth added. Mom, Diane squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. You didn't just get mad, you got smart. The methodical approach was definitely more satisfying than the alternatives I considered, I admitted with a small smile. Like what? James asked. Let's just say I researched untraceable poisons before deciding that legal justice was the better path. Paul laughed nervously. Remind me never to cross you, Angelica. That evening, we gathered at Charlotte's favorite restaurant, raising glasses to her memory. To Charlotte, Beth proposed, who was loved completely. And to Angelica, Paul added, who taught us all that justice doesn't have to be violent to be complete. I touched my glass to theirs, to holding people accountable, and to moving forward, not past. Later, placing fresh flowers at Charlotte's grave, I whispered, He didn't win, sweetheart, and he never will. 6 months later, I stood at a podium, announcing the first recipient of the Charlotte Holloway Memorial Scholarship, a brilliant young woman with dreams of revolutionizing cardiac care for women whose symptoms are too often dismissed by medical professionals. My daughter's legacy isn't the betrayal she suffered, I told the audience. It's the lives that will be saved because of her. As I watched the young scholar accept her award, I felt Charlotte's presence beside me, her hand in mine. In that moment, I knew that while revenge may have driven my actions initially, justice had transformed my grief into purpose. Would you have handled it differently? Sometimes I wonder if I went too far, but then I remember how he abandoned her, even in death. What would you have done in my place?